Welcome to One More Hour, the podcast all about backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra running mindset of going one more. If you're an ultra runner, a trail or ultra runner curious about the format, or just someone who loves to test your limits, you're in the right place. I'm Jackie Wilson, an ultra marathon and marathon run coach, trail runner, outdoor enthusiast, and backyard ultra expert. On this show, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and conversations with runners, race directors, experts, and more to help you go further, dig deeper, and keep going when everything in you says stop. Thank you so much for joining me for some yards. Let's get started with one more. Welcome back to the One More Hour podcast, your insider's guide to backyard ultras, timed events, and the ultra mindset of going one more. Today we're talking about a moment in endurance sports that almost every runner experiences and almost every runner believes until they realize what is happening. The 2 a.m. brain. The point in the race where everything suddenly feels heavier, harder, and a little bit hopeless. Where your thoughts shift from I've got this to I don't think I can keep going. And here's the thing. It feels real. It feels logical. It feels honest. It feels like clarity, but it's not. It's a lie. Your brain is lying to you. There's a very specific psychological shift that happens in the middle of the night. And if you don't understand it, you'll make decisions in the moment that you wouldn't make in any other time of day. If this decision happened at 2 p.m., you would not even be considering it. You probably wouldn't even be thinking it. But you do because it's 2 a.m. Decisions like slowing down more than necessary, sitting longer than you should, stepping off the course entirely. Not because your body is done, but because your brain is convincing you that it is. So let's talk about why that happens. At 2 a.m., your body and brain are in a completely different state than they are during the day. Obviously, right? Your circadian rhythm is at its lowest point. This is when alertness drops, mood drops, motivation drops, even in normal life outside of running, right? This is when things feel the hardest, if you have ever been awake at this time. Small problems feel bigger. Normal fatigue feels overwhelming. Your outlook becomes more negative. Now layer that into a backyard ultra, timed event, fixed distance event. You're already physically fatigued, likely underfueled, underhydrated, sleep deprived, emotionally stretched, experiencing GI issues, maybe some foot problems. So when 2 a.m. hits and you're already having some of these problems, your brain doesn't just feel bad, it starts telling stories. Gosh, I have a lot of stories about the brain, the stories that my brain has told. And I've heard some very comical and also some very real stories that other runners have experienced during their races. So I want to talk about some of them. The first one is at 2 a.m. your brain says, I'm done. We don't need to be doing this anymore. A bed sounds really good right now. I've done enough today. It feels final. It feels certain, like your race is over, but that's not the truth. Another one is at 2 a.m. your brain says, what is the point? Suddenly the race feels meaningless, like none of it matters. You completely forgot your goals. Or your goals don't feel like they have any power or meaning behind them. But nothing has changed, right? It's the same race, it's the same goal, the same you. At 2 a.m., your brain says, I can't do another loop. I can't do it. I'm bored. It's the same thing. Why am I doing this? At 2 a.m., your brain says, this is really bad. Everything feels heavier. Everything feels harder. It's more intense. Your brain says it's only going to get worse. It convinces you that this is permanent, right? That there is no rebound. That there's no second wind. It's not going to turn around, even though logically we know that it will. But in that moment, we cannot convince ourselves of that. That logical reason does not have power in that moment. At 2 a.m., your brain says, if you stop, you'll feel better. If you stop, you can sleep in your bed. And yeah, you might for a minute, but your brain doesn't show you what's to come after that. The regret, the what ifs, the knowing that you quit in a moment that would have passed. At 2 a.m., your brain says, something is wrong. This is not normal. You shouldn't feel this way. Something is off. It magnifies things. But again, this is important. These thoughts feel like truth, right? Not emotion, truth. And it's hard to separate yourself from that, especially if you haven't experienced it before, or if you don't understand that, okay, this is actually not true right now. So this is what I need you to understand. At 2 a.m., your brain is not a reliable narrator. It is chemically and physiologically biased towards negativity. Like, your brain was designed to protect you. So your brain in this moment, when you are pushing yourself, when you're going against everything that we say you should not do, like, yeah, your brain is going to try to protect you. It's trying to get you to stop the stress, stop the effort, stop the discomfort, stop the GI problems or the vomiting or the pain or the discomfort. And the easiest way to do that is to convince you that continuing does not make sense. So the thought isn't the problem, believing it is. This is where most runners get into trouble, right? They treat those thoughts like data, like evidence, like something to analyze and respond to, which normally is a very good thing in running, being able to be in tune with your body and recognize signs of discomfort when things are feeling off. But in an ultra, like, your brain is using those mechanisms as tactics to help you quit. You're treating these things like something to analyze and to respond to instead of recognizing this is a time of day effect. If you look at that same athlete with the same body in the same exact moment, but at 2 p.m. instead of 2 a.m., they would not be thinking about quitting. They probably would not even have those thoughts. Nothing changed physically, just the lens. So what do you do about it? Because you can't avoid 2 a.m., right? Unless you ran a race when we changed the clocks. If you are in a backyard ultra or a timed event or a fixed distance event like a 100-miler, you're going to be out there at 2 a.m. So let's break it down. First, you label it. You call it out for what it is. When your brain says you're done, you say, this is 2 a.m. brain right now. My brain is wired to shut things down. This does not mean that I'm actually done. Be quiet, brain. Not, this is the truth. When your brain says this is pointless, you say, nothing has changed. This is 2 a.m. brain talking right now and stripping the meaning of my goals. This goal matters in the daylight, and the time of day should not influence that decision. Be quiet, brain. That small shift, by labeling it, creates distance. It turns the thought from something you believe into something you're observing. Second, you delay the decision. Period. Delay all decisions. This is critical. You do not make big decisions at 2 a.m. You don't decide to quit. You don't decide you're done. You don't evaluate your entire race. You wait. Give yourself a rule. I am not allowed to make that decision until daylight. Or I will reassess after the next loop. But most of the time, if you can just keep moving, the feeling will pass. Third, simplify everything. At 2 a.m., your brain cannot handle complexity, so don't give it any. Don't ask yourself, how am I going to finish this race? Just say, get to the next loop. Don't ask yourself, how can I do 10 more hours to get to 24 hours or 30 hours or to a distance PR or whatever? Just say, stand up at the whistle, start the next loop. Reduce it to the smallest possible action. Fourth, use your action to override emotion, because thinking will not get you out of that hole. Movement will. Stand up, walk, start the loop. Those actions send a signal back to your brain that says, we're okay, we're still doing this. When your 2 a.m. brain says stopping will fix everything, stop and you'll feel better, respond with, yeah, momentarily, but then regret is going to sit in and the what ifs are going to start, and relief is immediate, but regrets last longer. Like, talk to yourself. And here's the part that I think is really important and that I want you to hold on to. Just because it feels bad doesn't mean it's bad. Just because it feels impossible does not mean that it is impossible. And just because your brain is telling you to stop does not mean you should listen. Because 2 a.m. is not when the race stops. It's where the race gets filtered. A lot of people get weeded out around this time period because morning feels very far away, but it's also so close at the same time. And even though maybe sunrise is 2 laps away, 2 yards away, 2 hours away, it seems like a long ways away. It's where the runners who understand what's happening separate from the runners who don't. So next time you find yourself there in the dark, in the quiet moment where everything feels heavier than it should, and your brain starts telling you that you're done, I want you to pause and to remind yourself, this is not truth. This is timing. This is 2 a.m. brain. It is not the truth. It is telling me a story. And then take your next step, because morning is coming, clarity is coming, and if you can just stay in it a little longer, you'll realize it was never as bad as your brain made it seem. Do not make permanent decisions in temporary lows. Your brain is lying to you. Keep going. 1 more hour, 1 more step. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to 1 More Hour. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow so you don't miss the next yard. And share it with a runner who loves pushing their limits. I'd love to hear your own stories of going 1 more. Connect with me on Instagram at the 1 More Hour podcast. And if you could leave a quick review, it'll help more runners find the show and keep going when they want to stop. Until next time, just go 1 more hour.